So we have a special guest speaker today, and you are live streamed, so just so you know that, not just to Rock Hill High School, but to other schools across our state and maybe even across the country. So I'm going to introduce Nick, tell you a little bit about him, and then he's going to take it away. So Nick is an Aussie-American who was born without limbs to the shock of his parents and doctors in 1982. To this day, there's no medical conclusion as to why he was born this way, but his courage and tenacity for life have made him one of the best reframers of challenges, and his message of hope have been reached by 1 billion in China and on television, 1 billion digitally elsewhere. He has spoken at venues including Davos World Economic Forum and has been on shows such as Oprah's Life Class. Nick has a passion to help all people to never give up, reach their full potential. Attitude is Altitude is a social-emotional learning curriculum for youth to administer character, core, and values through school systems. He is a world-renowned speaker who has met with over 21 presidents and vice presidents around the world, spoken to crowds as large as 800,000 people, international best-selling author, entrepreneur, producer, actor, who will today open your heart and mind to reach higher. Please welcome Nick Vujicic.
Dustin. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hello to everyone. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? Good. Rock Hill High, thank you so much for having me. I want to say it's been an incredible morning already, just being interviewed by some of your production team students here already. I want to say thank you to your headmaster, Mr. Dustin Toth, and all the executives here at this school to make it happen, and welcome some schools, the middle school and high school across the Prosper School District. Can we welcome all the live stream students right now? Can you do the clapping? Thank you. We are so thankful that, first of all, I want to tell you, I don't know who you are, I don't know what you're going through, and I'm not a person to come here and say, hey, I have no arms and no legs, I've had a difficult life. No, I always go to other schools and teenagers and say, look, I never am going to tell you how I believe I know how you feel. No way. You don't know how it feels to be maybe someone without limbs, but I don't know how it is to maybe be in a broken home. I don't know what's going on in your life, but when you look at the heart and the mind, you understand with my foot, you see ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs, good days, bad days. There are times where you're feeling good. There are times where you're just like, dude, like really? Like this is going on? And I just want to be here on Bully Awareness Month. The annual campaign that my company is doing is called Rise Above Bullying. Can you say Rise Above Bullying? And I'm going to basically give you the canvas of understanding how do you actually rise above the circumstances in your life, which is also the world's opinion. When they say they're not good enough, how do you understand the truth of your value as a human being that has nothing to do with the world's opinion about you? You know, kids would come up to me in Australia. Did you notice the accent a little bit? I moved from Australia. Anyone want to go to Australia one day? Put your hand up. You want to go to Australia one day? Cool. It's a cool country, but let me tell you, I actually left Australia at age 21, 22 years old, went to California, and I'm so glad that I've moved to the United States of Texas. I actually live only 30 minutes away from here. Me and my wife, we've been married for 10 years. It was love at first sight. We actually fell in love right here in McKinney. It was love at first sight. She looked at me. I looked at her. I couldn't feel my legs. And we've been now married for 10 years. And we got a son who's 9-year-old, a son who's a 7-year-old. And we've got twin who are 4.5 years old. And I'm actually the shortest one in the home now. And I tell you, when I was a kid, looking at everyone else, I'm like, man, why does everyone else have more than me? And I'm like, I don't understand, like, what happened? You know, like, kids come up to me and they're like, what happened? And I say, cigarettes. And it's a good anti-smoking campaign. But I'll tell you, no one knows why I was born this way. And in fact, not only is there no medical reason, but they had no idea that I was going to be born this way until I was actually born. I have a brother born after me. He has limbs. And a sister born after me, she has limbs. And so when I was coming into the beautiful world, I like basically turned the world of my parents upside down. And they're like, my doctors were saying, so sorry, we had no idea that he was going to be born this way. We're so sorry that you gave birth to a vegetable. And seriously. And seriously. And so like, they're like, oh, he is never going to walk. And little did they know what I could do with this little foot. After 2 cups of coffee, I can actually type 53 words a minute with my big toe right here. And I tell you, my parents always said, Nick, you were not given arms and legs, but you were given a brain. Use your brain. Figure it out. We ain't going to give you what you want, when you want it, how you want it, because then you'll never be thankful for anything. I want you to understand that I actually had parents who were poor. My dad, when he was in his home in former Yugoslavia, they had no concrete slab. They slept on dirt. My mom, her family were farmers to some point, but they were actually peasants in former Yugoslavia. Former Yugoslavia was communism regime in 1960s. My parents were in refugee camps. And they told me how it was to flee a country. They told me how it was to go to bed hungry. And my grandfathers were actually in prison because of their belief system. And so as I grew up, they said, sure, son, you have no limbs, but you have a loving home. You have no limbs, but you have a little foot. You have no limbs, but you're able to go to school. Do you know that my mom is one of the most courageous women on earth that I'll ever meet because, apart from my wife, because the law in Australia in the 1980s segregated anybody in Australia to go to a mainstream school system. And the doctor said he's not going to go to school. But little did the doctors know that my mom would go to the government and say, excuse me, tell me why my son without limbs can't go to a normal school. And they're like, well, we actually don't have a good enough argument. I guess let's actually change the law. My parents changed the law in Australia in the 1980s. And I went to school and everybody's looking at me. And then some kids, they're like looking at me and they're staring at me. And I tell you, man, I had the funniest reactions sometimes. You know, one kid is 9 years old. He's just looking at me. And I'm looking at him. And he looks at me and then he crosses his arms like this. And he looks at my head. He looks at my body. He looks at my head. He looks at my body. He looks at my head. And he says, well, at least you got a head. I'm like, that is the cutest thing I've had. I didn't think that was bad. I thought that was cute. And I'll tell you, man, I love pranking people. Seriously, you know when I'm in a car and you don't know that I have no limbs, all you see is my head. So I'm at the traffic lights one day, and this car comes up next to us. This woman's looking at me, I'm looking at her, she's looking at me, I'm looking at her, and all she sees is my head. So I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to freak her out. So imagine all you see is my head. I just did this. And her face was like, my parents always said, Nick, the world is going to tell you you're not good enough. The world is going to look different. The world is going to be able to do stuff that you can't do. You're never going to throw a football. You're never going to do this. You're never going to do that. But you got a brain. And my dad pushed me so hard in mathematics. And it helped me so much. And I realized I may not be able to compete with other people on other things, but that doesn't define me. You see, so many times we look at other people and we judge the book by it. And so the people who judge the book by its cover when they looked at me actually decided right there and then that they're never going to be a friend with me because of how I looked. And that sucked. But, everyone say, but. I concluded in my mind that actually they missed out on a good friendship. Why would you want to be friends with someone who needs to demand how you look before you're good enough for them? That's not a true friendship. Oh, you need to act a certain way. You need to say the F word to be cool. Really? Like, seriously? Oh, yeah, everyone's got a girlfriend, boyfriend, and if I don't get married now, I'm never going to get married. Are you kidding me? The average high school relationship is like 2 weeks, 3 days, and 4 seconds. And I'll tell you, can I hear an amen? And so it's like, seriously, and I was like, oh, I need this. I was like, man, if I can only have arms and legs, then things would be different. How many people would agree with me that I get a pretty good argument that I can tell you right now that my life could be different if I had arms and legs? Yeah, but guess what happened? I didn't let that stop me. When the world says you're not good enough, get a second opinion. You're not defined by what the world says or what you look or how you walk or how you talk. I want you to understand, when you look at me, when I look at you, I don't look at girls as sex objects. I don't look at them that way. I look at them in their eyes. Their eyes are the windows to their soul. I can't hold my wife's hand. I don't need to hold my wife's hand. I need to hold my wife's heart. And my children, they see how their mom and dad love each other, and they see that their dad has no arms and no legs, and they're still processing. They're little kids. And when my son was 7 years old, he said, "Daddy, I wish you had arms." I said, "Why is that, baby?" He said, "Because I want to just feel how you could hug me. I don't feel your hug." And I said, "Oh, honey, I'm sorry." He said, no, but it's okay because I'm strong." And he's like showing me his biceps. He's like, "Oh, I'm strong." I said, "Okay." He said, "I'm going to just hug you stronger and longer so you can feel my hug even better." And I want you to know in life, man, when you look at the value of a person, I couldn't care how you look. I didn't care how many friends you've got. I didn't care about what people think of you. I love you just the way that you are. And if you actually take out my tongue, take off my ears, pluck out my eyes, and burn my skin, you know what you can't touch of Nick Vujicic? My soul. And you can't touch my soul, and no one can touch your soul. And I want you to know there's not another soul in Nick Vujicic. There'll never be another soul in Nick Vujicic. And same with you. You're irreplaceable. And I want you to understand that when you go to school, you might be judging other people by how they look or how they talk or how they act or what group doesn't talk to this one. There are groups at school that, we're just this group and that's that group, and we just never talk to that group, and we don't even know why, but it's just been, so it's always going to be. And then there are some people, like, they came up and they picked on me. And I went up to some people and I said, "Seriously?" They're like, "Whoa, what?" I'm like, "Every time I walk by you, you say this, this, and this about me out loud, publicly, verbally abusing me. Thinking it's okay because he's the tough guy, the cool guy. And every time I go, I don't want anything to do with him, but I have to walk by them in my wheelchair, and I felt like running them over. I felt like headbutting him in the face. And one day I'm like, you know what? I just got to get that courage to one day face them and say, "Hey, stop. Oh, does that hurt you?" Yeah. You want to know why? It takes 2 seconds for someone to say something. And then you go home and you're in your bed looking at the ceiling and hearing those voices. You're ugly, you don't matter. You'll never be happy. Those voices in your head. You see this table? Do you know where I am today? The future? Today, I'm a husband, a father of 4. I text with presidents. I've been on television to 2 billion people. I'm an entrepreneur. I have 4 companies, 30 employees. At age 17, I made thousands of dollars a week on the stock market. At 19, I bought my first property. Do you want to know why? Because my dad said, dream big and go for it, son. Today I'm happy. Do I still have ups and downs? Yeah. Does money make me happy? No. I buried my father 5 years ago. I miss my dad. He died of cancer. Can money replace people in your life? No. Does life always give you what you want? No. But I'll tell you right now, hear this, see this? Here I was though as a kid, and I'll tell you right now, I love my life. I love my life. But when I was 8 years old, I started convincing myself of a lie. Everyone say a lie. And I'm hearing these voices thinking, you know what? You're never going to get married. You're never going to get a job. You're just a burden to your parents. You're always going to be teased in your life. You should just give up. There is no reason why you should actually exist. There is no purpose. You're a mistake. Just give up. You're a nobody. And you'll never, ever be anybody. In America, listen, presidents have me speak to all their schools at once because they call me an expert with young people in regards to suicide prevention programs. I've spoken in front of 300 schools in America where I did an anonymous survey where we found out that 6 to 12% of all teenagers in America have thought of giving up. 3 to 6% of all teenagers in America have actually attempted suicide. 40% of the reason for attempted suicide in America is because of a brokenness at home. You don't know what brokenness there is in anyone's home. And 40% because of bullying at school. I was one of that statistic. And at age 10, I had premeditated my suicide for 2 years. And I went into my bathtub and I tried to drown myself, and there was only one thought that stopped me from going through with it. And it was because I had a mom and dad that every day told me, "You're beautiful. We love you." And because of that love, I stayed. If you've never ever been told these words, "I love you," I'm going to say it right now. I don't know who you are. I couldn't care less. I love you. No matter what. I don't care about what job you're going to get, how much money you're going to have, what profession you're ever going to have. I love you just the way you are. And I want you to turn away from all those lies. And to those lies, do this. Those lies can talk to the foot because the ears ain't listening. And you turn around and you take one step at a time, one step at a time, one day at a time, one day at a time. There'll be times where you don't like your life, and so you do stuff just to escape what you feel. Sex ain't love. You can sleep with anyone you want as many times you want, but sex itself ain't love. And I'll tell you right now, money, drugs, sex, listen, alcohol, pornography, fame, and fortune, listen to me very carefully. If you put your happiness in temporary things, your happiness will be what? Temporary. Do you see this stuff? One day at a time, one day at a time. I want to tell you right now, the first thing to get out of depression, the first thing to get out of anxiety, the first thing to get out of what is going on within you is to first of all be thankful. And the way that I actually first became thankful, believe it or not, was on the soccer field. And I was on the field, and I'm a short guy, and you put a full-size soccer ball next to me. It's a pretty, I'm a small guy that could hurt me, okay? And so my guy, on the other side of the field, my friend, he's saying, "Are you ready?" I'm like, "Ah!" and my knees are shaking, my palms are sweaty, and I'm like getting nervous, and he gets ready to kick it to me, and he goes, whoa, boom. And this ball's coming right for me. You know, like something coming for you, and it doesn't matter what you do, you're dead? That's the feeling that I had. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what do we do? So I jump in the air, like the Matrix. I don't know if you've seen that, but like slow motion kind of thing. Like seriously, I jumped up in the air and I went, whoa! And I went, what? Like that. And the ball hit my foot, bent it backwards, and I heard a and I was like, ah! And my foot went, ah! It's like, I need this thing to move around. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm in bed for 3 weeks looking at the ceiling, and I'm thinking, man, I will never be angry for what I don't have. I'm going to be thankful for what I do have. And I'll tell you right now, when I was 17 years old, I was kind of like one of those leaders in the school, and I had to give a speech. And I spoke in front of everybody, and the person who was cleaning the toilets at my school pulled me aside and said, hey. I said, uh-huh. He said, you spoke in front of the whole school. I said, uh-huh. He said, you're going to be a worldwide speaker. I said, what? He said, you're going to be a worldwide speaker. Listen, Google says that the fear of public speaking is the number one fear in the world. Number 2 is death. So some people would actually rather die before they become a public speaker. And I'll tell you right now, I didn't think I was going to be a public speaker. But he said, Nick, you have a story. I'm like, you're wrong. He said, no, I'm right. I said, you're wrong. He said, Nick, let me arrange your speech. And I'm like, no. And I walk away. Next day, he says, hey, Nick. I'm like, what? He says, speak. I said, no. And I walk away. Next day, he looks at me, and I start walking away. He runs after me. You know what I mean? And I'm like, man, this guy is like relentless. And I'm like, hey, fine. I'll do it. And I spoke in front of some 5-6 people, and some people were crying. I'm like, are you okay? Uh-huh. I said, why are you crying? What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I said, why are you crying? She said, I was touched. I'm like, who touched you? Oh, hey, buddy, let's go. And then some people were calling me, hey, we heard that you're a speaker. I'm like, I'm not a speaker. They're like, yeah. But you spoke. I'm like, yeah, I spoke, but I'm not a speaker. Well, we want you to speak. I'm like, what? And then I spoke. And then I was in front of 300 sophomore students, and within 3 minutes, half the girls are crying, and everyone heard someone in the middle of the room weeping, and she didn't stop. And then she felt everybody turn back and look at her, and she slowly put up her hand. She said, I'm so sorry. Can I come up there and give you a hug? And she came and she hugged me, and she cried on my shoulder, and she whispered in my ear, thank you, thank you, thank you. No one's ever told me that they love me. No one's ever told me that I'm beautiful the way that I am. She said, you saved my life. I'm like, whoa, that's legit. That's what I want to do. How cool would it be to get paid to go and spread hope? Oh my gosh, I'm there. I'm in. Guess what? I started speaking around the world, and then I'll never forget. I was 24 years old, and I was speaking at a church, and I saw a little boy with no arms and no legs, just like me. And I'm like, whoa, I want to wrestle him later on. And I got him up on stage, and he sat right here, and he's looking up at me, and I'm looking down at him. And I looked at him, and he's looking up at me. I can't give him a high five, but I gave him a low 2. And everyone started crying. His mother came up and said, thank you. Now we know our son is going to be okay. And I thought to myself, man, when I was 6 years old and kids were teasing me at school, I wish that someone without limbs could come to my school and tell everyone who's teasing me to close their mouth. I didn't get that miracle, but guess what happened? Daniel went to school, and he was getting teased, and I went to the school, and guess what I told them? Close your mouth. And guess what happened? No one teased anybody. You want to know why? Because it's really interesting that some of you think that actually it's so cool that you guys are talking over the top of me and you don't think I can't see you, and they're still talking on top of each other. Excuse me. Hi. Listen very carefully. When you talk when someone else is talking, do you know what that means, sir? Do you know what that means? That you don't think that I'm as important as I need to be when I'm speaking. Hey, don't look at them. Look at me. Just look at me. Look at me for a second. This is what I'm talking about. Listen, look at me. Look at me. It's okay. It's about 20 people talking at the same time, but I had to call them out. Let me tell you why. Because now this is the message. Ready? Because you speak when I speak, you think that I am either not as important or you are more important. That your conversation is a little bit more important somehow than what's happening here. Everyone say the word principle. Listen to me. Say principle. Ready? Here's the principle. Do you know why people tease each other? I'll tell you why. Because someone believes someone's more important or less important than anyone else. Do you believe me? Is that pretty true? Okay, ready? Here we go. Ready? And I'm not picking on you. And I don't need teachers' help. Listen to me very carefully. Ready? Today, I want to bring it home right here for this school. And I want to ask you today, do you believe I'm happy? Do you believe I still get depressed? Do you still believe I cry? You still believe I have good days and bad days? Okay. Do you believe, though, that I'm finding and living out my purpose? Okay, listen very carefully. Today, in the world, you know, I've been to 77 countries. Do you know today there are 25,000 children dying of starvation today? Do you know that there are 70 million children around the world that are enslaved to human trafficking? Do you know what my purpose is? My purpose is to help the poor have food, water, and clothing. Me and my family, we sponsor children. There are 500,000 foster kids in America who are waiting for a loving home, and 120,000 children waiting for adoption. Me and my wife, we have 4 children. I have no arms. I have no legs, but we will adopt also a child. Why? Because every child deserves a loving home. Every hungry person deserves food. And it's your generation who actually cares. And if you want to do something, I'll tell you right now, when you want to change the world, this is why I'm here. Ready? Because I don't think you want to change the world till you're ready, till you change this school. And I want to ask you right now one last question. Ready? Do you trust me? Okay. I want you to put one hand in the air. Put one hand in the air. Shh. One hand in the air. Open up your hand. I don't see all the hands. Hand in the air. Everyone here, look at me. I need to see your face. If I don't have 100% participation exactly with what I'm about to say, I can't do it. Legally, listen, legally, I can't do it without 100% participation. So right now, raise your hand. You trust me. You know I want to make a difference in this school. And all these cameras, we're not recording this part on the crowd. So look at me. Raise your hand nice and high. I'm going to ask you, listen to me, I'm going to ask you 4 highly sensitive questions. And I don't want anyone to know your answer. So you know how I've done it? In a moment, everyone say in a moment. In a moment, I'm going to get you to actually soon. Not yet, but in a moment, I'm going to get you to close your eyes and bow your heads. In a moment. And then I'm going to ask you these 4 highly sensitive questions. And you will simply put your hand in a fist if the answer is yes. Are you with me? Raise your hand, bow your heads, close your eyes, including the staff. I don't see all the hands. You can't rest your elbow on anything, straight up in the air. Here we go. Ready? Bow your heads, close your eyes. Ready? Keep your heads bowed, eyes closed until I tell you. Question number 1. Put your hand in a fist if you've actually thought of committing suicide. Go. Do not talk. Open your hand. Put your hand in a fist if you've actually attempted suicide. Go. Open your hand. Put your hand in a fist if you've actually attempted suicide because of a brokenness at home. Go. Open your hand. And put your hand in a fist if you've actually attempted suicide because of bullying in this school. Go. Open your hand. Put your hands down, lift up your heads. Thank you for your participation. Do you have any reason to believe that I would exaggerate the results? Everyone take a deep breath in and out. Sit up straight in your seats. And I'm going to wait till there's absolute silence. I hear there are about 990 seats in this auditorium. Count it 900 because it's not full. Listen, here is what everyone told me. Of 900, 90 of you, don't talk until I'm done on this part. 90 of you have thought of committing suicide. 90, 1 in 10. The amount of people who have attempted suicide is 40. I'm trying to do the math, I'm extrapolating. About 15 had attempted suicide because of the brokenness at home. And actually it was closer to 20 because of bullying in this school. If I were you and a speaker told me on Bully Awareness Month that there is someone who doesn't like their life because of gossip, do you know what I would decide if I were you? Maybe I can't be friends with everyone. But from this day on, I had no idea. I will close my mouth. I don't want to be part of gossip anymore. I don't want, there's enough hurt and division in the world. And I want to stand strong. I want my school to realize that every single student counts. That you're not cool if you hold up your reputation by trying to tease my brother or my son. If I was a father of one of these, everyone's someone's son, everyone's someone's daughter. You know that saying, what goes around what? So if you don't stop teasing someone's son, and if you don't stop teasing someone else's daughter, I'll tell you right now, one day you're going to remember this speech 20 years from now when you're actually got your own 8-year-old daughter, your baby girl, and she comes home crying and says, "Daddy, they're teasing me." And you'll remember today when Nick V said, "What goes around, comes around." And for the 98% of you who won't start gossiping. For the 98% of you who are with me. For the 98% of you who are like, you know what? I want to make the world a better place. I'm looking for a purpose. And yes, I'm depressed. Nick, how do I get out of my depression? Let me tell you how you get you out of depression. Number one is you make a list of 5 things that you're still thankful for. That's number one. Number two, speak to somebody. You've got professional counselors at your school who are trained, who are ready to talk to you. I want you to understand, do you know that 1 out of 3 girls in America have been sexually abused? 1 out of 5 boys in America have been sexually abused before age 17. I want you to understand that you, when you're broken for whatever reason, I want to tell you I love you. I want to tell you I'm sorry if you've had problems in your life, but I want to tell you right now that you're going to be okay. And especially if someone is taking advantage of you, please talk to somebody. So be thankful. Talk to somebody. And the third thing, this is my beautiful, beautiful highlight of getting out of depression. Ready? Go help someone else in need. My son, he's earned $2,000. He's 9 years old. He's got a jewelry company. And of the $2,000, you know what he does every single Christmas? He gives away half of the money he's earned that year to go to Dallas and actually help the homeless with food and a blanket and a jacket. It's not because daddy told him to do something. It's because he knows his daddy is a generous man. He forgives his enemies because he knows daddy forgives his enemies. He is a loving, caring, empathetic, sympathetic, beautiful, kind heart because he's seen how his mom and his dad are sponsoring kids and doing what we can to make the world a better place. I want you to know, if you've never had a loving mom, a loving dad, I want to tell you I love you. If no one's ever told you that you matter, I'm going to tell you you matter. No matter who you are, no matter what's happened to you, there's always second chances, and beautiful things can come from your broken pieces when you give your broken pieces a chance. Now, turn to the person next to you and give them a hug or a high five. Go. Ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Guys, help me out. Say, shh. Go, help me. Shh. Everyone do it. Shh. Ready? I want you to stand to your feet. Go. Wait. Sit down. Ready? Sit down. I forgot something. Every live stream in school as well, stand with us now. All of you stand. Go. Without talking. Thanks. If your camera is right next to your head, you just want to move. Beautiful. We're good. Okay. Here we go. Ready? Look at me. I want to ask you, first, did you enjoy today's speech? Yes. Was it challenging? Yes. Was it encouraging? Yes. Okay. Here's the difference. Ready? Your decision after I leave will determine if you're humble by your actions. Do you believe I'm strong? Do you believe that I'm confident? You can be strong, confident, but I'll tell you what I am as well. I am humble. Today is going to test your humility. So today, if you're not any more important than anybody else, and you're no less important than anybody else, and you're ready to make a difference in this school, military style, put your feet together, arms by your side, and repeat after me, like I don't have to tell you to say it louder. Here we go. I today make a conscious decision to do all that I can to love myself, to respect others, to understand that everyone has value. I today will stop bullying me. I will give my future a chance. I will stop my negative thoughts. I will do what I can to do my best, to dream big, and never give up. When the world says I'm not good enough, I will remember today. Today, moving forward, I make a conscious decision to be an agent of change, possibly save a life, right here, right now, to do what I can to let my school know that on my watch, I ain't going to stand for it. When I see bullying, we will rise above. We will stop it, and we'll rise above. From this day on, I will not be afraid. I will not go back. I will go onward. I will go forward in full humility. I am no more important than anybody else. And everyone deserves love, hope, and a friend. I will do my best to change my school as we rise above bullying. So help me God. Now hug each other, give each other a high five, then have a seat. 10, 9, 8, 7. Be seated. Have a seat. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Guys, I got 180 seconds, so the quicker you can be quiet, the quicker I can say something. Ready? To everyone watching live stream, I want to say thank you, Prosper. Thank you to the administration. Thank you to the schools even outside of Texas watching. Thank you to the education ministry of Mexico, Brazil, Hungary, and Serbia for getting this message out to all of your students. I want to say we love you, and tune in next year for the Rise Above Bullying campaign with me. Can we thank them and wish them all the best? Thank you very much. Ready? Everyone here, listen. Everybody take a deep breath in and out. Okay, ready? Today, oh, you don't have to repeat it. Listen, I'm going to give you some advice. Ready? Today, when someone like me comes into school, it takes time to process what just happened. It sometimes takes time to know how to even feel after something like this. And so my advice is, give yourself a little grace today, and each one of you to each other. And I just want you to know, today was awesome. I had a great time. Please talk to somebody if you need to talk to somebody. But today, from here on, I hope that my message stays with you. And on the days where you feel a little anxious, and you feel a little scared, remember my smile. Remember, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Don't give up. thank you so much for having me here today. God bless you all.